Did you hit that thing?
Yes?
Why did you do that? You know what a pain in the ass those things are. And we had to kill that niche that got mixed up in it. Oh well. Oh, hey, hello there. I didn't expect to run into you guys here. I'm just out exploring the Telvanni Peninsula with my new Bow Sorc. This is a build that, like the previous video, features the new scribe skill, Banner Bearer. Gear is easy to get on this one, but I'd say this isn't for beginners. This is for more advanced players that are comfortable with all the basic gameplay elements. And there's an added difficulty here. The build uses a rotation that only falls just a little short of being dynamic. There's a lot of going back and forth between skills on my main bar, and that's really at the limit of what an average player like me can handle. Also, the build uses a bow on both bars, and a lot of players aren't really into bow setups. So this is probably a build for players that have multiple characters or players that really want something a little different. Well, if you're still interested, then come along with Xander and I as we explore the lands of the Dark Elves.
Creature's death caused a change to the rift! Someone must disrupt the rift, even if it means my life.
So, Xander.
Speak. I'm listening.
Aren't you just a little bit disappointed that we left that guy to die? Oh well, we'll save the next one. Let me take a look at my character sheet before we move on. My sorcerer is a dark elf, and he's been a dark elf since I rolled him. I haven't changed that. Dark elves are a top stamina DPS race, and they're also good as magic at DPS. You really can't go wrong with a dark elf damage dealer. They have bonuses to max magicka and stamina and weapon and spell damage. They also have extra fire resistance, which is handy when I'm playing as a vampire. Surprisingly, my buff food is Dubious Camoran Throne. You'd think I'd need more sustain here because I'm using the Banner Bearer skill. But sustain is actually high enough to where I've been running Dubious in content, and it's worked really well. And if I do get into trouble with my resources, all I have to do is toggle Banner Bearer off. My Mundus Stone is the Thief, as usual, and that gives me more critical chance. Going up to the top of the character sheet, you can see I've got 22,000 points of health and 33,000 points of stamina. Weapon damage is at 4,200 and critical chance is at 48%. Physical resistance isn't impressive at 10,000, but you've got to remember this is a squishy 2-bar damage dealer. My resistances get buffed in combat though because I'm running the Hurricane skill, and that gives me major resolve. Alright, let's head out. You did it again. You hit that netch as we went by. I saw you out of the corner of my eye. Why did you do that?
I hate, for lack of a more scholarly term, icky creatures. You know, stink monsters like ogres, harpies, trolls, and do not get me started on the likes of Dreg, Charosaur. Ooh, mud crabs, those tiny pincers, those beady eyes. Nightmare fuel.
Netches are nothing like those creatures, and what's with the maniacal laugh after we had to kill it? What's wrong with you? That little baby Netch doesn't have a mom now. Way to go. I need to look at my skills. I've got to focus on something so I don't think about what just happened. This is a 2-bar build, and I'm going to start on my back bar as usual. Of course, the back bar is a bow, and it's a bow on both bars. The first skill I'm going to use is the scribe skill, Banner Bearer. I want to get this thing flying before I enter combat. I'm using the focus script for martial damage because the majority of the damage here falls under that heading. My signature script is class mastery, and I don't have any pets here, so this does shock damage around me, and sorcerers have a bonus to shock damage. I'm using the Berserk affix to get minor Berserk, and this is a great way to get that buff and have it up the entire fight. Banner Bearer is a toggled skill, so once it's up, I don't touch that button again unless I need more resources, and in that case, I toggle it off. The second skill I'm going to use on this bar is the Sorcerer skill Hurricane. Now I know I have to stay close with this skill, and you can slot something else here if you want. But the bottom line is that Hurricane does a lot of damage, and it offers a measure of protection. If you want to stay ranged, you can use the Sorcerer skill Haunting Curse here. It's basically a flex spot, so slot what you want. Next, I'm going to use the assault skill, Razor Caltrops. This does a small amount of damage over time, but more importantly, affects enemies with major breach, reducing their armor by 5,000 points. Now I'm going to use the bow skill, Endless Hail. This skill does good damage over time, but it also buffs my weapon damage. For this to happen, the bow has to have a weapon damage glyph, and it has to be in the infused trait. There's one skill in every weapon skill line that does this. In the bow skill line, that skill is Endless Hail. This is an important aspect of 2-bar builds, which increases my weapon damage greatly. My self-heal on this bar is Resolving Vigor from the Assault skill line. This gives me a quick heal over time and gives me the minor resolve buff, increasing my armor by 3,000 points. The last skill on my back bar is the Sorcerer Ultimate Charge Storm Atronach. This is a powerful area of effect attack, and nearby allies can use the synergy to get major berserk, increasing their damage by 10%. Okay, let's go ahead and look at my front bar. As I said before, this is also a bow, and the first skill I'm going to use here is the Scribe skill, Shocking Burst. Shocking Burst does shock damage up front, shock damage over time, and gives me minor courage, increasing my weapon damage for 20 seconds. This skill requires me to stay close to my target, but this is a flex spot, so you can slot something else here if you want to remain ranged. You can see that the Banner Bearer skill is also on this bar, and it has to be, or when I swap bars it will go away. Since it's already active, I don't touch it here unless I want to take it down to recover resources. Alright, this is where things can get tricky, because what I have next is basically 3 spammable skills. My for real spammable skill is Silver Shards from the Fighters Guild skill line. This is what I'm going to use if neither one of the other 2 skills is ready. If the next skill, Crystal Frags, is ready, I'm going to use that. When I see it glowing down there on my bar, I'm going to fire that instead of Silver Shards. When Crystal Fragments is ready, it does more damage, costs half as much, and is an instant cast. And I'm only going to use this skill when it's ready. My other semi-spammable skill is the Sorcerer's skill, Bound Armaments, and I'm going to use this in the same way as Crystal Frags. When this skill is ready to be fired, it also glows. I'll only use this high damage attack when it's ready. So basically, I'm filling in the gaps with Silver Shards when neither of my high damage attacks is ready, but I'll always use the higher damage attacks if they're ready in preference to Silver Shards. My last skill in this bar is the Fighters Guild Ultimate, Flawless Dawnbreaker. This is here for the same reason I usually include it on this bar, and that's to passively increase weapon damage. Alright, that's it for the skills. Let's go ahead and do a sample fight. So our Bow Sorc did 51,000 points of damage per second, which is definitely going to be able to clear dungeon and most trials content. Although it's not buffed by the Banner Bearer skill, that didn't stop Crystal Frags from leading the way with 20% of the damage. Average penetration was 10,000 without any boost to that from a tank or other players. In the green buff section, you can see that Banner Bearer kept minor berserk up basically 100% of the time. I don't know why it says 99, but it's always 99 on everything, never 100. Almost out of view at the bottom is Berserker. That was up 87% of the time, and that's the boost to weapon damage I'm getting from the glyph on my back bar bow. Okay, let's move on.
There's more where that came from.
Not for me, there isn't. I was the one getting my ass beat there while you stand off. Let's get out of here.
Collaborator? Confrere? Companion?
Cut the crap. You said you scouted that cave and there was nothing in there. When did you scout it? 10 years ago? That was not nothing. That was a big something. I've got to check my gear. I took a beating in there. Starting out with my front bar weapon, I have a bow of the Order's Wrath in the precise trait with a poison glyph. Order's Wrath can be crafted in the high aisle, and it's still one of the best and most versatile 5-piece sets. You'll never be sorry you crafted this because you can wear this on a variety of classes and builds, and it can be on the front bar only and work great. My back bar bow is from the Unfathomable Darkness set, and this comes from the Clockwork City. This set calls crows to attack my enemy and procs easily from the back bar. You can run numerous other back bar sets here, but I've always found this set to be surprisingly effective. Next, I'm wearing the 2-piece Zon monster set. This is another factor that limits me to close range, but Zon is still king of the monster sets. But if you don't have Zon or you prefer to be ranged, slot whatever you want here. Your call. The last item I'm wearing is the Velothi Mage's Amulet. This mythic item greatly increases my damage against monsters, but throws light attack damage out the window. Velothi also gives me Minor Force, which is an essential damage dealer buff. If I don't wear Velothi I have to remember to slot a skill that gives me Minor Force. I can run Barb Trap or Channeled Acceleration, or even one of the new Scribe skills. The jewelry here is bloodthirsty and has weapon or spell damage glyphs, and it doesn't really matter which one. The only difference between the two is they'll give me a small buff to either Magicka or Stamina Recovery. Since I swap these between characters, sometimes they don't match the build perfectly. Before I move on, I want to point out the slotting, which I show on the left. This is how I can run 2 5-piece sets and a monster helm and a mythic. The key is having front bar and back bar only sets. Alright, now that I've covered that, let's look at the champion points. The blue champion points are Master at Arms, Fighting Finesse, Wrathful Strikes, and Deadly Aim. Notice that Thaumaturge has been left out, and that's because of the build's emphasis on direct damage.
You wish to engage in badinage?
No, I don't. Look, I know I've been hard on you, but I just don't think we're cut out to be partners. We've tried this a couple of times now, and it just isn't working. Well guys, I think it might be a while before you see a Xander again, but thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed today's 2-bar Bow Sorc. If you did, help me out by crushing the like button. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, I've got a new thing in the video description, and that's a link so you can buy me a coffee if you'd like. There's a little more video after this, and that's an extended version of one of the fights. Well, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and enjoy your adventures in Tamriel.